Okay, so you want to buy a super yacht. Here's the one asset class where losing money isn't the risk, it's the guarantee. Every other purchase on this channel has some scenario where the math works out, some angle, some loophole. A super yacht doesn't have one. You will lose 10 to 15% of the purchase price every single year, forever, just keeping it running. And still, the order books at the top yards, Fedship, Lursen, are booked out 4 to 6 years. People are lining up to buy something that is mathematically guaranteed to bleed them dry. That's not a bug, that's the entire point. Let's talk about what you're actually buying. Tier 1, the cheap entry. A small super yacht, 24 to 30 meters, pre-owned, starts around $2 million. That's the price of admission to a category most people will never enter. Tier 2, the real thing. A mid-size 50-meter yacht runs $15 to $40 million new, or $10 to $30 million pre-owned. Tier 3, large. 50 to 70 meters, pre-owned, $25 to $80 million. Tier 4, mega yacht. 90 meters and up. Pre-owned listings start around $150 million and climb past $600 million for recent builds. A new build at this size runs $200 to $500 million, and that's before you've waited the 4 to 6 years it takes the yard to actually deliver it. Here's the rule of thumb the industry uses. Roughly $1 million for every 3.3 feet of length on a full custom build. And if you want a Fedship or a Lursen specifically, the brands that actually hold their value, expect to pay a 15 to 30% premium over the category average because everything else depreciates faster. But the purchase price is just the deposit. The real bill hasn't even started yet. Now the rules of the game, because owning a yacht this size comes with more red tape than the champagne on the deck photos suggest. Where you register the boat, the flag state, determines almost everything else. Your tax exposure, the labor law that governs your crew, the inspection regime you're subject to. Cayman Islands, Marshall Islands, Malta. These aren't random choices, they're deliberate tax engineering. Before you can even take delivery, the vessel has to pass a class society survey, structural integrity, safety systems, mechanical certification. And that inspection repeats every single year you own it. Your crew needs to be licensed under international STCW standards, and your captain needs a license specific to the tonnage of the boat, not just any captain's license. Insurance, hull, liability, crew, cargo has to be bound before you're legally allowed to leave the dock. And if you're cruising European waters, get the VAT paperwork wrong and you can add 20% or more to your exposure overnight. None of this is optional, and none of it is fast. Even with an unlimited budget, the bottleneck isn't your bank account, it's the calendar at the shipyard. So how does the money actually work? The industry has a name for it, the 10% rule. Annual running costs run 10 to 15% of the purchase price every year for as long as you own the boat. Buy a $50 million yacht, budget $5 to $7 million a year just to keep it afloat, staffed, and insured. Crew is the single biggest line item, 30 to 40% of total operating cost. A captain on a 50-meter yacht costs 10 to 16,000 euros a month. On an 80-meter, 16 to 23,000 a month. And that's one person on a crew that can run into the dozens. After that, maintenance and repair, 14 to 18% of the budget. Insurance, 10 to 14%. Marina fees and berths, 8 to 12%. Fuel, 8 to 12%. And that's before you've gone anywhere interesting. Put real numbers on it. A 150-foot yacht costs $3 to $4.5 million a year to run. A 200-footer, $6 to $8.4 million. A 300-footer, $16 to $24 million. A year, not a lifetime. Roman Abramovich's Eclipse cost roughly $700 million to build. It costs him $50 to $70 million a year to run. A single refuel has been reported at $2.2 million. Just the mooring fee can run $5,000 a day, before the crew, before the fuel, before anything else. Now, the part of the industry that tries to fix the math, and mostly fails. Chartering exists because owners look at that annual bill and ask if any of it can come back. Average daily rates run up to $28,000, and a week can go for $100,000 to over $1 million. Sounds like it should work. Here's why it usually doesn't. Brokers take 15 to 20% off the top before a single expense is paid. Run the real math. Charter your yacht for $250,000 a week. Book 8 to 12 weeks a year. That's $2 to $3 million gross. After commission, crew, fuel, and provisioning, net income often lands around $500,000. That's frequently less than the annual maintenance bill by itself. Across the industry, a charter program that's genuinely profitable, not just cost offsetting, is treated as the exception, not the rule. And the whole time, the clock on depreciation is running. The moment you take delivery, the value starts sliding. New yachts commonly shed a meaningful chunk of their price the first year alone, the way a new car does the moment it leaves the lot. Except the car didn't cost $20 million. Refits every 5 to 10 years can run into the tens of millions. New paint, new engines, new interiors, updated safety systems, on top of everything else you're already paying. And none of it is optional if you want the yacht to hold any resale value at all. Now the cases, because this industry has produced both spectacular failures and a kind of success that doesn't look anything like a return on investment. The failure is Jho Low. He bought the superyacht Equanimity for roughly $250 million in 2014, financed with money later traced to the 1MDB embezzlement scandal out of Malaysia. Authorities seized it in 2018. It sold in 2019 to Genting, Malaysia for $126 million, just over half of what was paid, while its owner became an international fugitive who, to this day, has never faced trial. The second failure belongs, strangely, to the United States government. Suleiman Karimov's $325 million superyacht, Amadea, was seized in Fiji in 2022 under the Justice Department's Klepto Capture Initiative. Taxpayers then paid roughly $600,000 to $1 million a month just to keep it maintained and insured, about $32 million in total by 2024, including a $1.7 million annual insurance bill and a $5.6 million dry dock repair. Even with the full weight of the federal government behind it, nobody could make this asset cash flow positive. It just cost money, the same way it always had. Italy seized a second yacht that same year, the $700 million Scheherazade, reportedly linked to the Kremlin, and ran into the exact same problem. Someone still has to pay the crew and keep the engines turning over, sanctions or not. Seizing a superyacht doesn't stop the bill, it just changes who's holding it. And then there's Abramovich's Eclipse, which isn't a failure exactly, because it was never trying to be an investment. Anti-paparazzi laser system, missile defense, 2 helipads, its own submarine, $50 to $70 million a year, and the return on that capital is exactly zero, by design. The success here isn't financial, it's that the owner never expected it to be. So let's run the numbers 2 ways. Optimistic scenario. You buy a 50-meter pre-owned yacht for $20 million and run an active charter program. 10 weeks a year at $200,000 a week, $2 million gross. After a 20% broker commission and operating costs, that charter income covers maybe a third of your $2.4 to $3 million annual running cost. Best case, you're still writing a 6- or 7-figure check out of pocket every single year. Realistic scenario. The same $20 million yacht, private use only, no charter. Running costs at 12% a year, $2.4 million annually. 10 years in, that's $24 million in running costs stacked on top of the original $20 million. Resell after a decade, and you'll typically get back 40 to 60% of what you paid. Total cost of ownership over 10 years, well north of $30 million, with zero cash flow along the way and no exit that returns your capital. Scale that up to the Eclipse tier, and the numbers stop being relatable at all. $700 million to build, $50 to $70 million a year to run. Call it $60 million as a midpoint. Hold it for 10 years, and you've spent $600 million in running costs alone, on top of the original build. That's not a rounding error. That's most of a second yacht, spent purely on keeping the first one afloat. Here's the takeaway. A superyacht isn't an asset. It's a subscription, to crew payroll, to dry dock bills, to a depreciation curve that never flattens out. Even the United States government learned this the hard way. It spent $32 million keeping someone else's seized yacht afloat, because there's no version of ownership, public or private, where the bill actually stops. The S&P 500 returns about 10% a year. No crew payroll, no fuel bill, no flag state paperwork, no dry dock. But also no helipad, no submarine garage, and no anti-paparazzi laser system pointed at the nearest photographer.